History matters for today. Actually, history has a long shadow. Things that have happened in the past may be relevant for us today. For instance, people born in World War or during crises such as a pandemic, their well-being being affected directly, but also the well-being of their children, which may imply that children born, let's say, currently, may still be affected of the things that happened to their parents very, very long time ago.
I think history can offer us an awful lot. I think when COVID first happened, everyone talked about it being this big, unprecedented event. But I think if you look back over history, you see pandemics actually happen with, a fair amount of regularity, and it offers us all these lessons as to how we can deal with them. So I think the first lesson is that COVID isn't the end. There's going to be more in the future, and that we need to start actually looking at pandemics that have happened in the past and see what lessons they have to offer. And I think, it offers scope for a lot more research, much more interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary research. I think up until now it's all been very much silos. Each discipline has stuck to their own, and they've stuck to looking at specific elements of pandemics. And I think we need to start integrating it all together.
One of the things we can learn through history is to study the responses individuals take. And so when we talk about many governmental responses in large organizations, we miss out the opportunities to study how individuals respond. And so one of the things I'm looking at is how the Howard Association responded to yellow fever epidemic in Memphis in the 19th century. And so the variety of responses there gives us a lot more information and ideas and innovation as to how people respond to outbreaks of infectious diseases.
The really useful thing about studying historical pandemics is that they are in the past. We can look at their beginning, the middle, and also the end, which we can't do very easily with the current pandemic. So we can track the full course of what happens. So I look at the Spanish flu pandemic of 100 years ago, and I can see the impact over time and across space. And I've been developing ways to measure that. And I can use those same metrics and apply them to the current pandemic to learn about the course of the current health crisis.
Well, history unfortunately teaches us that pandemics will always be a threat for humankind. They have always been there. They will be there also in the future. It's kind of the nature of our environment to lead to the emergence of these new threats. It also teaches us, fortunately, that our ability to cope with them has improved steadily across the ages. So hopefully they will become always better manageable, although again they will also remain a threat for at least the foreseeable future.
Learning from past emergencies and past health crises offers opportunities for us to figure out where we can apply key lessons, where patterns and key challenges in our science advice systems have gone wrong repeatedly, and how we can improve those going forward, and can teach us a lot about patterns in human behavior components of disease response.
Well, pandemics are fairly rare events. They happen quite infrequently, so if you want to understand what's going on as you're going through a pandemic, or if you want to plan for the next one, it's quite natural to turn back to history to see how these events develop, and also the effectiveness of various actions that we can take.
So one of the key things that history can teach us is how a central bank reacts to a pandemic. So when a pandemic hits, it causes stresses on the economy, and central banks then step in. They underpin the stability of financial markets, underpin the stability of banks, but also help pump money and liquidity into the economy, and ultimately help the government borrow the money it needs to get through the pandemic.
History provides us with long-term context, provides us with what we might want to call longitudinal data, and especially when we're in the midst of a crisis, then we need to think about the broader context and not just our immediate response. And so when you look at the history of epidemics, what's interesting is then you can try to see patterns and see how epidemics are not just about the pathogen, they're not just about biology, and so they're just not a matter of scientists, but also to think about how epidemics are as much about human behavior and human culture, and so we need to think about society and culture and integrate that into our understanding of epidemics.